You're live.
Good morning, y'all, and welcome to the attempted monthly, all over the place question and answer. So hopefully we will have fun with this today. I really like the odd questions, but don't call for me as a scholar. I'm not. I'm an old cave yogi. Anyway, before we start, I want to mention what's upcoming. I am leaving on Thursday to travel to New Orleans, where I will be giving open public teachings. You all are welcome to join me there in person if it happens to be near to where you are. After New Orleans, I'm going to be up in Texas, in Nyanda. Where am I in Texas?
El Paso.
In El Paso. Again, I believe it will be open teachings for the most part. And if you happen to be near there, you're welcome to join me. After that, I'll be back here. For the moment, while I am traveling, I will not be doing groups. So Thursday's group, and until I get back on
The second or
the
third.
2nd or 3rd of April, there won't be groups. I'm afraid it's still stuck up on the calendar, but I'm not the one who handles that. So, oops, it got left. Let's see. So that's coming up. On April 3rd, I'll be back and I'll start doing groups. So if your group gets missed during one of these, you still come up on about the same time a month. We got them scheduled in, so you can sort of figure out how to make it in case it's late night for you or work time, or it depends on time zone. Any other practicals? Do come up with questions for this. Please put them in chat. If you are hearing this in a different language, please be kind enough to give them to your translator. I'm not sure how you do that. Translators, would you take a moment to explain how they can give you their questions? Hopefully that's now happening. Ooh, technical difficulties. Martin doesn't see us.
What?
Oh, Lifen. No,
Yeah.
tell him I don't think Lifen's coming this week. I think he couldn't make it.
Okay.
Yes, we have Hebrew translation, we have Spanish translation, we have Russian translation, but I'm afraid our Mandarin translator was unable to make it this week, unfortunately, due to some appointments he had. So 3 out of 4 of our usual languages is not bad. That's what you got. Any other practicals I should come up with?
I think you covered it.
Oh, yes, if you are hearing this in another language and you are enjoying yourself and happy to have it, please offer dana to your translator. All the translators have PayPal buttons on my website. You go to my website, go to the Give Dana page, find the translator of the language you've been listening in, and PayPal them a bit. Whatever you like. But that's a kindness. It makes them feel appreciated. You know, we all do this for free. There's never any charge for anything that happens here. So, help me make them feel good. Give them a little something. Or a big something if you happen to be able. As you like and as you can. Anyway, enough preambles. Shall we get started? All sessions, all teachings begin with Refuge and Bodhicitta. For me, they are the same thing, and they meet in Guru Yoga. You see, all sentient beings of the 3 realms, realm of formless, realm of form, and realm of desire, which is where we hang out, always wanting stuff. all these beings, at some point, some when, somewhere, get enlightened. In the fourth time, when we say all Buddhas of the fourth time, beyond the limitations of time and space, all sentient beings are all Buddhas. And the lineage comes forth from all Buddhas of the four times, personified by Kuntuzangpo, Kuntuzangmo, and other symbols. And so when you do Guru Yoga, you're actually doing bodhicitta too. And refuge. It's the same. Nchuku Kunduzongbo Gombo Dorji Sempa Garab Dorji Dang Shere Singe Bardu Shin Labde Dedam Abzan Tata Tusumchi Zogchen Jupe Lamala So Deb Ergem Pema Junila Solo Deb Dorji Chang Chitilo Narudang Marpa Mila Gompo Tsatsapa Na Pupadang Palden Drupa Suk Kargyu Lama Namla Solwa Deb O Chen Lama Namla Solwa Deb Dru Chen Lama Namla Solwa Deb Kaginuari Lama Namla Solwa Deb Shakya Lama Namla Solwa Deb Nyandu Dang Yundran Lama Namla Solwa Deb Alkondu Zhongdang Yerme Pa Gon Garab Dorji Jintrak Pa Jeti Nini Subme Pa Palamanam Che Tente Chong. Okay, who's got a question?
One of our Spanish viewers does.
Mm-hmm.
When we actualize enlightenment, is there anything left of us as humans, or is there just a pure being that experiences things, and in what way?
Yes. They say enlightenment is inconceivable. Therefore, it will not fit into either, both or neither of those stories which limit its nature. Still human is limiting. Energy being is limiting. It's not still human, right? It's limited. If it is this but not that, it is limited. Enlightenment is not limited. Do not try to understand enlightenment. You can't. Just walk towards it. Next question.
Let's see, now we have a number of questions.
Shall I do Dorot's? The one about Tonglen?
I didn't see that one yet. Is that in?
That came over in Slack, I thought, or something. It came up on my iPad. Anyway, I remember it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, here it is.
Would you read it?
When I learned Tonglen, I was taught to think of a person and do the process thinking of him or her. I recently heard your teaching advising not to practice Tonglen on people without their permission. Why is that? And should I stop thinking of people and do only animals?
You can do people as long as you've asked them if you may do them. How would you feel if someone from a religion you dislike began doing woo-woo at you and was good at it and could step inside you and feel how you feel? A very judgmental person from a judgmental religion. You wouldn't like that, would you? I wouldn't. Well, actually, I personally wouldn't give a damn. They're welcome, but most people wouldn't. Those people who are shy about their foibles, their kinks, their oddities and their eccentricities, or their simple normalities, or their doubts, or any of that, would not like someone to step inside of them if that someone was not really close to them and might be judgmental about what they found. It is a kindness to ask people for permission. Bugs don't really feel it, and they don't have so much to hide. Animals in the moment don't have much to hide, although I have noticed that cats will object simply by pissing in your shoe and walking away. That's an objection by a cat. I'll do it with a squirrel or a cat in the wild. I won't do it with my pet cats. They tend to get pissy about it. And I have noticed with pet dogs, if you do it a lot, they seem to want more and more of it. Almost like an addiction, so I tend to refrain there from pets. Except maybe occasionally. Not as a regular thing. It's powerful when you do it right. When you do truly work on developing the ability to exchange yourself with others, to send your feeling and your filaments, to uncoil them from where you keep them coiled around yourself, involved in your stuff, out into the form of that being. And you take on their form and you feel their feelings, their emotions, maybe even some of their sensations, and you might catch the edge of a thought. I would feel that is invasive to humans who tend to be rather obsessed with privacy, thinking they have something to protect and many things to protect it from. That is my reasoning. Groups of humans you can do. All the people on that bus going to work and not on Monday morning and hungover. All the people in that neighborhood where there's nowhere to buy good groceries without traveling afar. All the people in that country which is currently suffering from governmental issues. This you can do in groups and clumps, all the people in that convalescent hospital, all the children in that children's ward. It's when you really focus with that intensity on an individual, they're going to feel it if it's a person. At least most people will. If I were to stare that hard at someone in a tea shop, hard enough to actually intake their pattern, depending on their base culture, they would either get in my face and yell at me, or leave, or turn around, or become nervous, or have some other digpa, tightness, stressful reaction. Now, if you're no good at it, Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. You're just visualizing randomly. But if you're really doing it the way I taught it to you, with a being that feels real, that's in front of you, that you can really go into and feel the suffering of, be polite. Next question.
What practice would you recommend for an impatient and easily angry mind?
Manis. That's easy. We use them to put colicky babies to sleep. We also feed them a bit of herbs. No, not the herb you're thinking of. Medicinal herbs. We use them to soothe raucous situations and stress. Therefore, if you tend to pop off angry quickly, the first aid treatment is definitely going to be the Chenrezig sadhana, manis. Some of you may actually, surprisingly, not be familiar with it. I has a bilbla. So here's the lung, so you can do it. Repeat after me 3 times. Om. Mani. Padme. Om. Om Mani. Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Great. And you just repeat that in one of the many tunes of your choice. Like that. Feel it? It's very soothing to you and your environment. Next question.
Is Chenrezig's gender non-binary? Can you talk about Chenrezig practice for non-binary people?
Chenrezig's gender is non-binary. Because the Tibetans are a very macho, masculine-focused culture, they see him as more masculine. In the more yin culture of China, he is given the name Kuan Yin and seen as more feminine. Just as if you are non-binary, one day you might feel like wearing a skirt, maybe because it's hot out. And another day you might feel like wearing jeans and guys' clothes. And there's no rule which one you have to wear today. So Chenrezig, depending on the culture and the personification, is seen as either male or female or neither. As a non-binary person, don't assign a gender to it. Their sadhana does not require any form of gender assignation. they manifest in a long rainbow gown with, I believe, a bare chest without tits on it. Or with minimal tits on it, depending on the painter. I'm looking to see, I has one over there. Can you look up, let's see. You can't see it well because the glass is broken. What's he wearing on his top? He, she. What are they wearing on their top?
On the head?
No, on their chest. Necklaces, isn't it?
Necklaces, yes.
Yeah. Tits?
Hard to tell with the glass, but it could be.
Yeah, very unclear if there are breasts or not in most of the paintings that I've seen. That's a very old one that I absolutely need to reframe because the glass is broken and I just hasn't gotten to it. In fact, someone offered to do it for me a year ago and I just hasn't got around to giving it to them or giving them the dimensions. I'm really bad about that. Sorry, Jenya. Anyway, so you don't have to pick a gender to practice Chenrezig. There are some archetypes that are specifically male or female, such as Tara, very female, original feminist, in a female form. Purba, yeah, that's pretty young. Especially some of the protectors are quite distinctly male. You can Google the images. Next question.
Let's see, we have a lot of questions today, so there's many to choose from. One of the Russian viewers asks how to recognize the nature of mind.
Through having it shown to you via the four wongs. The four wongs begin. The first wong is intellectual. It pacifies your intellect. It is simply an explanation of nature of mind. For example, your thoughts. They arise in your mind, do they not? That's where you do your thinking. How about your feeling? You feel in your mind too. How about your perceptions? Well, look out the window, if you have a window. You will perceive green or brown or gray. I perceive some spring flowers just beginning. And not in the usual order they begin in. But do I? That's my perception, but what actually is coming from outside me? Through the window, light rays. And they're bouncing on my retina that has cones and rods. And the cones in my retina interpret and choose color: lavender, orange, green. And the rods give shape, a little like that and a little like this. And there's a chakra back here that, as they come from the eyes, go through the through the brain as neurotransmitters, go through the brain as puffs of chi in your tsa. They come to a chakra back here, a neuroplexus, where those two separate impulses are transmitted into a shape with color. They come together and you have a colored shape. But you don't have a thing yet. It travels down to here where you have a chakra that thingies it. Oh no, I'm sorry, it gets thingied up in here. And then you travels down to here where you get a liking or a disliking to the thingy. This is a whole process that happens in your tsa. Your tsa is your mind. Because it's not just inside of your body, your tsa is outside too. So in the understanding, your perception is in your mind too. You're the one who called it a flower. All you got sensorily is flirpy shape with a color, lavender. I better show you out my window for a moment. Can they see it? Look on your screen.
I think so. Let me just. I'm trying to get the. There we go.
Can they see it?
Yeah, the window's rather bright for that.
Ah. Too bad. I wanted you to see what I'm looking at so we
Yeah,
were all
it kind
talking
of-
about the same thing.
It kind of blew out the color, unfortunately.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try this. Color. You see it on your computer screen. Shape, round. Sniff. You can imagine the scent. That's going on in your mind. All you've got is round and orange. It could have been a bouncy ball. Certain texture, little stem end, the navel. Okay, now you've got a feeling of, you name it, orange and orange. So the naming went on in your mind. Now you have a feeling about it. You don't like oranges. You wish you had an orange. You would like to eat an orange. You would not like to eat an orange. Do you see? All of that is going on in your mind. When 6 people see a car accident, if you ask them separately the next day what happened, you will have 6 very different interpretations of what happened. Nobody knows what's real out there. There's not a single one among us who knows what's real from what is not. Notice this. Your mind is where all this occurs, where you make all this stuff up. And where might that be? Mind. Where the thoughts happen, the feelings happen, and the perceptions happen. All your life, you're listening to your thoughts, believing them, acting according to them. Look at all your belief systems. You even think you're real, and then you believe it. You think you want to get enlightened, and then you believe it. Look at them all, coming and going. Now, relax. Remove point focus from your eyes. Look into a spot about 2 meters in front of you in empty space. Look at a point there and then relax. Relax your mind. Allow your attention to expand from the what you be thinking to the where that thinking be happening. From the what you're feeling to the where of it. Where are you feeling it? In your mind. Mind seeing mind. infinite, unboundaried, unlimited. The thoughts are limitations. Leave them be. Don't pay them no never mind. Relax. And relax again. This is easier if you align your channels. And focus your eyeballs. Look past your thoughts at the where, not the what. It's an opening of awareness, an opening of attention into a natural state of awareness which is not point focused and therefore is utterly unlimited. Therefore it is called open awareness. It is also called Laktong, direct seeing, where mind sees mind effortlessly. Relax and relax again. Nyanda, would you hand me a crystal from the altar? There
Yes.
should be a few.
Let me disconnect myself here first. There we go.
With your mind in complete relaxation, in the utterly natural state of open awareness, thoughts occur. Don't bother with them. Pay them no never mind. Feelings occur. Allow them to arise and subside naturally without suppressing them or acting on them. Perceptions occur, for you are alive and have sense organs. And in the moment a sense organ sensation is interpreted, it becomes a perception of this and that. It is the ignorance accounting each moment that separates you, the perceiver, from the perception. Relax that. Be in it, as it. You are your mind, are you not? I mean, you came here today because you thought to do so, right? It's the king of you. Oh, your body has some say. You might not have shown up today because you were too hungover and your body wouldn't get up. Could have happened. But it didn't. Even so, you can, if you are determined by your mind, if it is insistent by the mind, it can overcome a great deal of body issues. That's why mind is so important. You are mind. That infinite open awareness is the nature of your own mind. But you don't own it. You are created by your perceptions. How did your personality as it is in this moment happen? It is not exactly the same personality you had at 14 now, is it? Shudder to think you had matured not at all since then. What changed you? everyone you ever met, every book you ever read, every movie or television show you ever watched, every conversation in every pub you've had a beer in, every man or woman you've loved or hated has changed you. Every pet you've ever had, every mosquito you've ever swatted, all of this, or refrained from swatting, all of these experiences change you so that you are not the same as you were by interactions with other beings. Reading a book is interactive. You are interacting with the author. You are eating the author's words and ideas. Immortal teenagers like Ayn Rand. Personally, at that age, I preferred porn. This complete relaxation of open awareness is utterly ordinary. You do not suppress thinking, feeling, or perceiving. Why would you? However, here's the camera. There we go. Can you see me? Let's find the part. There. I see me. I didn't have a clearer crystal back there, did I?
There's a small one we can check.
Let me have it. The good one was in the other room. I'll use a small one. Ah, yes, much better. This is the one I should be using. There you go. See me? Your thoughts, your feelings, your perceptions, they are not made of matter. You cannot clack them together. Try it. Clack a couple of thoughts together. I want to hear it. Or a couple of feelings. Or even a perception and a thought. Can ya put your coffee cup on a thought? I'm thinking table. Oh, it didn't work. No substance. No matter, no atoms. No quarks, no gluons, no molecules, none of that in a thought. No duration. Oh, you have ideas. You can think about an orange for quite a period of time. Keep thinking about the orange. That's not one thought, that's a whole bunch of thoughts on the topic of orange. Or a repetition of the word orange, 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 orange. A repetition of the thought orange. But no thought, no single one, lacks duration, has duration. They arise and vanish in the same moment, like writing on water. No mark is left, like the tracks of a flight of a bird across the sky. No path is left behind. And not only are they lacking in substance and duration, but they are utterly transparent. You can see right through them. For example, visualize a pumpkin. Right here. See the pumpkin in your mind's eye. Imagine it. Do you like pumpkins? Have a feeling about the pumpkin. Perceive it in your imagination. See the pumpkin? Transparency. You couldn't make it opaque if you wanted to. So all those thoughts that be happening in your mind all the time, you just look right through them. You just open your attention from what you're thinking to where those thoughts be happening. Like this. And that was the four wrongs. And that is by following that, by trusting that, you experience the nature of your mind, which is simply the where you be thinking rather than the what be thinking. But you gotta relax into it. You can't go bird dog. Won't work. It's like sliding into a hot bath on a cold day. Relax is the key. Next question. Give me something funny.
Something funny?
Yeah.
Give me a moment.
Sex is funny. There's a bunch of
Yes,
sex questions out there.
There were some sex questions, yes. One, actually, here it is. Is it true that spiritual partners must stay together from now until enlightenment, including the times when we really suffer together and never stop fighting?
Hell no. I have no idea. Some guy must have told you that when he didn't want you to leave. Guys say all sorts of things when they don't want you to leave or not do something. Absolutely bullshit. You do not have a single fated soulmate because there is not a single fated entity. Everybody changes. You're not who you were 3 lives ago. Nothing goes through. You don't have a soul. Go on, find me a soul if you think you have one. Love is simply an instinct. The mating instinct, the urge to merge, which is actually an urge to merge with the totality of the universe. Gentlemen, fire all of your guns at once and blast off into space. You know that urge? It's the mating urge released. You wish to dissipate into the open awareness. Ladies, feel the matter of the sun-warmed rocks, nature and form and the beauty of it. Your mating instinct is to embrace all of it. The trees, the mushrooms, and all the mountains and all the critters that live on them. Form itself in its beautiful variety. Essence of the Pao, the Daka. Why on earth would you try to focus all that energy at one poor guy? No guy is up to that, and gentlemen, no woman is as broad as the sky. Oh, we all can symbolize these things in Tantra, but in truth it is form and openness, form and emptiness. And emptiness is not other than form, and form is not other than emptiness. Go read the Heart Sutra. And that is the beauty of the orgasmic culmination of the mating instinct called the Great Bliss. And it's got nothing to do with individuals. If you're fighting all the time, leave him, for both your sakes. Next question.
How do I avoid the trap of thinking that Ngondro is just a boring part before the cool stuff?
Oh, man. I did that in my first Ngondro. Just went through it, did the recitations, did the movements, did the thingies, went to my teacher. Okay, I'm done now. Give me the good stuff. Looked me up and down. Oh, it didn't work. Do it again. In my second Ngondro, I noticed what these practices can do for you. These practices, prostrations, open yourself to the meaning of refuge, using the refuge mantra that is done with them. Sanje Chö Gaden Lekepsu Chiwo. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Lama Yidam Ngondro La Chapsu Chiwo. I take refuge in the Guru, the archetypes, and the Dakinis. Tsa Lung Tigli La Chapsu Chiwo. I take refuge in the energy channels, in the chi that moves within them, and in the creative life force essence that arises therefrom. Chukul Longku Trukul Japsu Chiwo. I take refuge in the three jewels, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Rangsem Tongselngo La Japsuchiwo. In my own mind's emptiness, clarity. In the nature of my own mind's emptiness, clarity, I take refuge. Feel the power in this. See it as you sing it. Prostrate with it, go down, giving off all of your hindrances. Gather them up, hindrances of body, speech, and mind. Offer them up to the lineage tree. Go down. Get up. You are one with all Buddhas of the fourth time, all Buddhas. Throughout space and time, their body is your body, their speech is your speech, their heart is your heart. Relax, standing. And do it again. Gather up what keeps you from feeling that of the body. Gather up what keeps you from feeling that of the speech. Gather up what keeps you from feeling that in your mind. Offer it up. Stand up without it as a member of all Buddhas of the four times. Body, speech, and mind. And do it again. It'll eventually go in. You know, when you've been working in the garden all day and sweating in the sun, and you can smell yourself from a mile away, how good the shower feels? Letting the water run through your hair, get all that ook off, rinse yourself, feeling clean. This is Vajrasattva. That beautiful, milky, white, creamy dutsi runs down through your prime chakra from the union of Vajrasattva, Yab and Yum, from their point of union, created by the union of yin and yang. Down through, in through your central chakra, and it washes out your guilts, your bad smells, your icky bits, the things that's holding you back. I woulda, shoulda, coulda, I can't. All of that from your energy channels. Working like, you know those detanglers you put in your hair if you tend to have curly hair that gets the tangles out in the shower? Like that it works. And you can feel the tangles in your energy channels releasing, little cricks in your back and places you didn't even know you were holding a stress, a digba, releasing. And they come out through your eliminatory orifices, your urethra and your anus. And they fall down into the center of the earth, where Yama, god of death, with the head of a bull, dark blue in color, stands, with his mouth open up. And they fall into his mouth, and he licks them all up with great enthusiasm, because to him they are the natural food. And it feels so good. Mandala. Oh, the realms you can travel to, the places you can visit. Now, I'm an inadvertent traveler. I go to weird places. I like to poke my nose into odd corners. Gives you so many more odd corners in mandala. Meeting strange people. Oh, know the dream time of it, and you do it half in the dream time. And you shift your universe perception from your usual to the specific one of the Tibetan system, and it is in that shifting where the earth appears flat and stacked and totally magical, that you can have amazing experiences that change you. And the Guru Yoga in the end, heartfelt yearning, given satisfaction. It is such a joy to do that practice. Do try it with getting into it instead of just trying to get the good stuff. I'll give you the good stuff with or without Ngondro. I don't insist on it unless you get stuck. And then I might suggest you do a form of Ngondro, there's quite a few different ones, to unstick yourself. Some teachers insist you do it first, and in fact, if you're going to be doing Tantra as your main practice, yes, you should do it first, because Tantra ends in a lot of Tsalung practices, and if you haven't cleaned out your tsa pretty well, it will tend to squeak when that happens, and you don't want squeaky tsa, trust me. Next question.
How to break the pattern of lying to oneself and others when it's become sort of automatic or habitual?
Mindfulness. Simply attempt to remember not to do that, for it will cause you confusion in the end. And since you have to think of a lie in order to tell it, stop listening to your thoughts. That's where all the lies are. They're in thoughts and words. Remember. Next question.
There we are. Isn't drinking coffee a way to change how we feel a push or a pull? Should it be avoided when practicing Dzogchen or Trekchö?
There is nothing that should be avoided when practicing Dzogchen or Trekchö other than Digpa. Coffee is not Digpa. I don't say this just because I like coffee. Tea is not Digpa. For many people, but not for all people, alcohol is not Digpa. For some people, grass is not Digpa. For me, it is. I really have to be very careful about smoking grass. It causes me to eat the whole thing and then have a tummy ache and then beat myself up over having done so and now having a tummy ache and having been stupid. And that's stress, so that's Digpa, so it leads to Digpa for me, so I don't smoke grass much. I had a friend with cancer, and she would like to smoke with me, so while she was towards the end. So I used to join her a little bit and then just, deal with the tummy ache. But since she's passed away, and that was some years back, I can't even use up all my fingers to count how many times I've smoked grass. So you really need to look for yourself as something, Digpa. I find that coffee is gewa because it helps me to communicate with you, as in I would probably still be in bed without it. And therefore this teaching wouldn't be happening, nor would my morning sit have occurred. I'm hooked on it. Oh well, such is life. I be a sentient being. You see, when they say that enlightenment is perfect, that everything is perfect, they don't mean what you think perfect is. They mean as it actually is. Next question.
Let's see.
Here's to coffee.
Yes, I'm having open heart surgery soon. I'm 25 years old. Any advice on preparing for death or how to navigate the bardo?
Yes. Let me refer you to a recorded teaching called How to Die, which will have many details for you on my website. Here I will simply give the short version. Chin up, tits to the wind, whee! If you go forward into death in that mood, you will be born human or better. Remember, chin up, tits to the wind, whee! Invoke the curious enthusiasm that the Dalai Lama lives in. If you know him at all, if you've ever hung around him, you will notice that he approaches his life with this sense of curious enthusiasm. Nobody's ever quite caught it in the books, but you can see it on him when you're around him. Ah, what's this? Ooh, what's that? Go into it with that state, and you'll be fine. I also suggest you do a little work with Medicine Buddha. There is teachings on the website on it, in order to make your doctors, your surgeon, have a good day the day they operate on you. It won't cure your illness, but it will potentiate and improve the well-being of your doctors while they treat you. That's how it works. If there's any medications you need to take, you can say that mantra and blow on them. And I wish you the greatest luck. Your chances of survival appear better than 50-50. Just checking, a little bit. I'm not even going deep in there. However, shit happens. Do check out my teaching on how to do it for the long version. Next question.
Let's see. When we find it easy to maintain the view off the cushion, do we still need to keep doing cushion sessions every day? If so, can those be shorter?
They can be shorter, but you better do them. Twice, because I'm stupid. I have gotten to the point where it seems completely stable, SOPA is stable, and stopped doing them, and had that wear off in about 6 to 9 months, and hit such mental turmoil, and gone to my teacher, who has, of course, gone, I told you not to stop sitting, because he has a very Tibetan slapstick sense of humor. Twice! Like I didn't learn my lesson the first time. Anyway, I'm stupid. I am not a good practitioner. I just had a really, really, really good teacher. Keep sitting. You'll be glad you did. Or rather, if you don't, you will be extremely sorry you didn't. Next question.
How can an incarnate Dakini forget that she is a Dakini?
We forget everything. Thoughts don't last. A person may have an idea that they're a Dakini, but then we're all Dakas and Dakinis in reality, but nobody remembers. That's the point of practice. You're all enlightened, but you don't know it. Oh. So you have to practice your ass off until you notice you're already there. Next question.
You've mentioned previously that practice is different for people who do and don't have children or property. Do you have any recommendations for those of us with children?
Raise your children well. Do not force them to practice. Do not make long retreats while they're little. Not until they're teenagers can you go off for 3 weeks or a month. They won't get it. They will feel abandoned and they will resent Dharma. While you're raising children, raise children. Practice while you raise children. Allow them to join in your practice or not join in your practice. Have fun with the holidays, with special treats or going out to the local temple. It can be fun to go on, say, a holy day, a holiday, to the local Thai temple, the local Japanese temple, with the kids as someplace to go and see and then stop for ice cream or pizza or whatever is the treat for those kids. Maybe try some of the sweets from that country. What Dharma you share with them, make it fun. Fun is important for children. It's how they learn. This is not Tibetan. I'm speaking as a Westerner. Tibetans, well, beat them if they don't. Different culture. Works for me. Got raised that way by the Tibetans in the Tibetan thing, but probably is not going to work for your kids. So raise them Western, with gentleness, and demonstrate the beauty of the Dharma by not losing your temper with them all that frequently. How can you avoid losing your temper? Practice the Dharma. There are many ways of working with emotions. In Theravada and in Sutrayana, one works with emotions by countering them with the opposite emotion. So when anger arises, you immediately begin practicing patience, etc., etc. When lust arises, you immediately begin practicing renunciation. In Tantra, using the inherent magic of mind, working with symbols, which is how all magical ceremonies work, is they work with symbols. when a disturbing emotion arises, it is transformed symbolically, ceremonially, magically, to one of the 5 wisdoms. And there are also Dzogchen instructions, which are different from both of those, but which I'm not going to give here, in a way that you could follow the instructions. It simply has to do with accepting the sensation of the emotion without shoving it down or acting it out, leaving it be. Take the long version. It's on the internet under Flight of the Garuda, chapter 12. Slightly long, a middling version. 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. And long version, there's a retreat called Working with Emotions. Next question.
When listening to Tibetan teachers, how can we determine what is Dharma and what is cultural? For example, some teachers have very strict definitions of sexual misconduct.
And some of that is personality. I knew a young Tibetan tulku who had an unfortunate experience in the monastery with an older monk who was attracted to him. I'm going to leave this in euphemisms. Boy, is he down on homosexuality. To the point of telling people if they're gay, they can't even be Buddhist. That is his opinion through his experiences. We're all people. Some of it's cultural and some of it's personal, since I do know a number of gay Tibetans. The Tibetan moral on that is what you do is what you do, but you don't talk about it. An example on that, when I got married to my 2 wives, Rinpoche did the ceremony, and there was a lot of photos, and he took them home and shared them with all his friends, and everyone was very happy for me because I got married and wished me well. And then later on, this Westerner took a dislike to me and decided to out me as gay to the Tibetans. And they all became terribly upset with him because, well, they knew I was married to 2 women, but he talked about it as a sexual thing rather than just that's how we live. We live together, we're Ropa. And anything else is none of your business. So, that is the common Tibetan attitude. However, individual teachers will have some pretty intense feelings and beliefs. And you will have to ask them how they came by them. I really can't address that except to say, I personally am much more open to such things through my experience, both with the Tibetans, who are a lot more open in deed than they are in word, and in life in general. Grew up on Leary's Commune, an old hippie. I don't know how you decide. I only know how I decide. And I run bodhicitta by it. It's how I decide if something is cultural. Does it truly fit in with Refuge and bodhicitta? Guru Yoga. Does it fit or does it seem slightly skewed? If it's slightly skewed, it's probably somebody's personality leaking in. So check that. My feeling is anything that makes a sentient being feel bad is digpa. So when you try to force people into boxes they don't fit in, they feel bad. So I would think that doesn't quite go along with bodhicitta, wishing happiness to all sentient beings. Yes, there are the question of orifices, where there is some digpa, cause for Preta realm from using the mouth as a sexual orifice, and a cause for Hell realm from using the anus as a sexual orifice, and cause for animal realm from using the vagina as a sexual orifice. So what does that leave? Your hands? That's not enough. Basically, I figure just keep it varied. But that's how I interpret that. Many Tibetans who were raised in India have taken on the Indian Hindu romantic belief of the one true love and become much more monogamous than they ever were back in Tibet, where polyandry was common. Many were educated in Catholic schools, where they have taken on some of those beliefs, thinking they are Buddhist. Compare it to what is taught in the very oldest texts, and then shake a bit of salt on it. All teachers have personality. I have a lot of personality, I've been told. Every teacher I've ever known has had a lot of personality, because you see, the difference between one who has come to a certain point and one who has not has to do with whether your personality still bothers you or not. I haven't bothered to hide mine because it doesn't bother me. It's just there. And it's constantly changing, and it's made of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions anyway, and they have no duration, and it has no duration, and it's transparent, so what the fuck? I don't care. However, you who are looking for a teacher, try to find one with a personality that does not drive you up the wall. It will be smoother. Not necessarily as effective, but to ride with a teacher whose personality is complete opposite to yours is more difficult. Fruitful if done, but more difficult. And what's that word for not born again, but the ones who believe every word of the Bible?
Oh, not evangelicals, born again Christians, fundamentalists.
My own teacher was a Tibetan fundamentalist.
Yeah.
And then there's me. I do believe we drove each other up the wall. And some of my students will probably do me the same favor. Next question.
My spontaneous lucid dreams declined. This happened after a dream in which you wanted to show me something, and I asked you for time to stabilize them. What's going on there?
Sorry about that. I must have scared you. I really did intend to follow your direction and give you time to stabilize. See if you can forget that dream and go back to what you were doing and stabilize, if that's what you want to do. Didn't mean to scare you there. I get over enthusiastic sometimes in showing the fun stuff. It's probably trying to show you how to be a dragon or something interesting that's fun. Anyway, next question.
What is the best and what is the worst of being in the role of a Lama, in your opinion?
The best. Teaching really makes you pay attention to your own practice. It reminds you of the bits you've forgotten. It deepens your practice because you have to figure out how it all works to explain it, rather than just doing it in the Tibetan way. This is teaching Westerners. Understanding how it works sometimes allows you to improve your own practice. Also, when students practice well as a result of a teaching by the teacher shares in the result. It's not just the teacher leads the student to enlightenment, but as I often say, we're all in this together. I benefit from your practice as much as you benefit from mine. It is synergistic, not parasitic. I think that and the travel are the fun parts. The hard parts? There was a very hard retreat where I sat through the entire retreat worrying about was anybody going to kill anybody else in the retreat. Worry about whether someone is going to manage to misunderstand the teachings in such a way as to do themselves a mischief. Because just as the clump that I think is me benefits from the practice of the clump, the clumps, plural, that you think is you, so in the same way, if I teach you something and you really mess it up, I share the digpa as well, because we're all in this together. This is why teachers are fairly cautious about who they accept as students, especially in the Tantra, which is cliff climbing. It's finding the fine line where you can push them off the cliff into the sky when they're ready to fly, but not before. If you push them off before, they turn on you and yank you. And yet there's a push. It's finding that point where you give the teachings in the proper order and then hoping that nobody makes a mischief for themselves by misunderstanding what you've told them. I'd say that's the hard part. Some practices, retreats, are harder than others. People are more likely to get themselves into trouble than on others. I do those only in person because I want to be able to keep an eye on you. Next question.
In Guru Yoga, During visualization, sometimes different lamas are coming to my mind, and then they switch. What does it mean? Could you please comment on this?
It means you have a number of heart teachers, and this is a good thing. Let that happen. It's not monogamous. Look, sure, there's one person that was the first person you had sex with. They got your virginity, your cherry. You got your cherry with them. Okay. But there's all these other people you've loved in your life. That's rarely the one that you loved most, although you have a soft spot for them. Hi, Douglas, if you're out there. It's the same. There is one root guru who's the one who shows you the nature of mind in such a way that you see it. But you may only meet them once. And that's fine. You have many heart gurus that hold your hand and show you how to stabilize on the path and how to bring the path and the fruition to the singularity of one thing. How to let child and mother luminosity unite. So, one root guru, yeah, but they're not always the one that you associate with most. They might be dead. They might be in another country and you can't get there. And they don't do online. For all sorts of reasons, you might be having a different heart teacher holding your hand through the process. And that's fine. It's not one and forever. I've had many teachers. You listen to the number, I talk about it when I sing Guru Yoga. All 5 lineages. And I honor them all. Yes, I had a specific root guru, that was Ngondro Rinpoche. But prostrations to Lama Yeshe and the others. Next question.
What is your experience with shamanism? I see a drum behind you. Can we use journeying to travel to Amitabha's Pure Land or meet other bodhisattvas?
Probably. I've never tried. I've always done journeying in Native American traditions, specifically Lakota. Usually for some somewhat more mundane purpose. However, I suppose you could give it a try and see. Don't know. Haven't tried it. Next question.
Let's see. I began daily practice after last weekend's retreat and developed daily headaches since. Not during practice, but hours later. Is it related, and is there an adjustment I need to make?
Yes. First of all, let's find out if it's related by stopping daily practice for 5 days and seeing if you still have the headaches. If so, then you need to change your practice. If there is another cause, meaning they continue on, I would suggest running it by a physician. There are things that can cause new onset daily headaches that are not good that should be found out about. If it is your sitting posture, see a chiropractor and fix your chair. If it is actually your practice, then you're practicing too tight. Loosen it, relax it. If it is a medical issue, discuss that with your physician. It could be. This might be coincidental, which is why I say stop for 5 days, see what happens. If it goes away when you stop for 5 days, comes back when you start again, then it's directly related to your practice. some of this would be, what practice are you doing? We might have, and also do check the position in which you practice, how you're holding your head, whether there's any neck tension. See if a massage helps. Next question.
A number of people have asked about the next refuge ceremony. Could you talk a bit about on how we schedule those?
When the refuge ceremony fills up online, I look into scheduling a day for it. Have you really, all of you, not taken refuge with any teacher yet? You don't have to take refuge with every teacher. You take refuge once and then you took that. You done did that. So I'm not holding it as a priority, and it will only be open to those who have not taken refuge previously. It's a lot of work. I'm happy to do it for you, but I'm not going to do double dips. Sorry. Next question.
If I did 3/4 of my Ngondro in Kagyu tradition, but the last part was Guru Yoga in Nyingma tradition, does it count as a whole Ngondro?
For me, yes. For other teachers, I can't speak for them. Next question.
What is the added value for human beings in meeting their Buddha nature? How does it make us better people, either for ourselves or for society?
Have you not noticed you're crazy? You are. You make these assumptions about what's going on around you. You believe them. Could you let the cat in?
Oh, yes.
You act on them, you make messes, and then other people make assumptions about what you meant by all that. And then they act on them and blah, 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 blah. Look at all the messes in the world. Look at it. What's the root cause of messes? You're all crazy. We're all crazy. Enlightenment is simply sanity. So you can stop talking to the imaginary people and tilting at windmills because you think they're dragons. Look at all the people cherishing one or another belief system. Haven't you noticed you're crazy? The benefit of becoming familiar with your own Buddha nature is the path to sanity. Your thoughts lie. You have feelings about the lying thoughts about something that may or may not have ever happened. Your perceptions are made of a mix of sensations and lies to yourself, and feelings about the lying stories you tell yourself. And you hate, and you love, and you're jealous, and you have avarice, and it all gets to be too much and you're depressed. All of this You're crazy. That's why. When you see through the thoughts on account of their transparent, through the feelings and the perceptions, which a perception is a bunch of sensations of the 6 sense organs with a story around it. That's a flower, and then in future I think I'll go pick that flower and put it on my altar because it's really pretty, and I think it would look nice together with the orange, that purple one. Desire, gonna go mess with matter, create some karma, again and again and again and again. Round and round we go. Maybe it's Gewa when I pick the flower and put it on my altar, but maybe I squish a little bug I didn't see and it's Digpa too. You can't move without creating karma. We are embroiled in our madness, which is made of our karma. Creating our karma, creating ourselves, creating our perceptions, our thoughts and feelings, interwoven, interconnected. No way out except shift your attention from the what of it all to the where. Looking through the utter transparency of mind-made bits. And relax into the ultimate natural state. The totality. Neither singular nor multiple. For both of those are limiting. If it is singular, it's not multiple. If it's multiple, it's not singular. Therefore, they are limits. Let go of your limits. They're made of thoughts. Look through. Mind itself, infinite and open. Vast beyond description. Unborn, undying. Without a beginning or an end, a middle or an edge. Here, there, everywhere, nowhere. Free yourself from the tyranny of your madness, from your thoughts and perceptions, and the feelings that arise about all the lies you tell yourself. Next question.
I live in a city that is being shelled by artillery. Fear, people torn apart, and horror. Is it possible to use this experience for spiritual growth?
All experiences may be used for spiritual growth. Do not hate the ones shelling you. They got sucked into this by their own madness and the madness of governments. Do not hate. Both sides are victims. With compassion and open-hearted great-heartedness. If through the horror of war you are able to maintain your open-hearted great-heartedness, you will grow incredibly. When I first visited Israel, this is back in the 60s, I think, late 60s. I met a few people, still young and active, who had been through the concentration camps. And I remember one, old Yakov, who had maintained his heart, open-heartedness through that. One of the most impressive people I ever met. And I count him among my teachers. He grew roses on the kibbutz. Spoke about 50 languages. And was open-hearted great-heartedness, and had maintained it through that horror. If you can succeed in maintaining your open-hearted great-heartedness, if you survive, you will survive as a complete human, not overly dented. For it is the dent of losing that lasts longest. I've had a long life, and many things that would be traumatic to most people were not. Just, people shoot at you, Yeah, sometimes you lose a fight, But the one time at 13, there was a little girl who had just been orphaned. And all she had left was a teddy bear. And the guards took the teddy bear away from her and said they were going to cut it in pieces and flush it down the toilet. I doubt they did that because it would have blocked the plumbing, but that's what I think now, not what I thought then. And I stood there, and I didn't try to stop them. Yes, I knew I would get beaten and drugged if I did, but I didn't. And that trauma stays with me. And I still try to shoof it out with Vajrasattva. Whereas I've been raped 3 or 4 times, and I really don't give a shit. Shit happens when you live wild. Besides, I got him. So, in this situation, continue to perform acts of loving kindness. If you live, you will still love yourself. And if you don't, you will certainly be reborn well. My prayers go with you and all the others on both sides of that stupid war. And see, I don't even have to know which stupid war. They're all stupid. There are cities being shelled in Africa, in Europe. I'm not sure if anyone's actually being shelled at the moment in South America. So you're either probably in Africa or Europe. And both wars are caused by the same thing: the insanity of sentient beings. This is why we try to find enlightenment. You see, each side has a belief system. It's somewhat religious and tribal. This tribe thinks that tribe is the bad guys, and this tribe thinks that tribe is the bad guys. And so, practice is the only way out of here. And out is not other than in. So practice now exactly where you are. Refuge and bodhicitta are the key. Refuge in the infinite openness. Bodhicitta, love for the all-pervading awareness which manifests as assorted living beings. The union of yin and yang, the totality. Next question. I know we got a few more.
Oh, goodness, yes. I'm just looking for the question I had just queued up. Do you have an opinion on euthanizing sick animals?
It is situational. It is the same opinion I have on euthanizing sick people. It should be up to the entity choosing its time. You can kind of tell when an animal is choosing to die. It stops eating. If you can remove the pain and permit the death to occur in its natural course, that is best. However, I know people get really impatient when that's happening. It's like, why am I still alive? I wake up, fuck, I'm not dead yet. This is when someone is terminal and they're going into the end stage and they just want to go do it, you know? Individual's choice. I'm not going to give you an across the board about whether you should euthanize people or animals. Each situation must arise as itself. Next question.
Are we in the Kali Yuga? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Look around you. Yes, we're in the Kali Yuga. Time is speeding up. Life gets faster. Communication gets faster. Travel gets faster. Everything gets faster and faster and faster and faster until it implodes. And then it starts over again. This is a belief system. It is the Tibetan belief system. It is a belief system. No one here among us knows what's real from what is not. You may subscribe to any belief system you wish, but do salt it. Next question.
As a gay man, how can I imagine Vajrayogini? Can I imagine her as an attractive guy?
No. Can you bring me another cup of coffee? I'm going to go on with this.
Okay.
No, you should imagine yourself as an attractive woman, if that at all works for you. You are Vajrayogini. You can imagine yourself as Vajrayogini, you with an extra hole, in union with an attractive male. Heruka. When certain archetypes have gender, when you work with a yidam, you imagine yourself as the yidam, whether you are male or female identified. When you work with a female yidam, you imagine yourself as female. When you work with a male yidam, you imagine yourself as male. We have, with people who like my explanations and tend to follow my teachings, we have worked with Kurukuli last year, a female yidam, and this year, as soon as I have the time to set it all up, we're going to do Purba, a male yidam. These are, if you cannot see yourself as a woman know-how, perhaps because you were born one and switched young and it's still a swick for you, I can imagine that if I had actually gone trans instead of non-binary, I might be squicked by personifying a female yidam. So if you really can't work with a certain gender of yidam being you, pick a yidam of the other gender. Look, practice what you can practice. We all have masculine and feminine sides. Our culture defines male as a certain kind of personality and female as a certain kind of personality. And then you think, well, if I have that kind of personality, I must be male, really. Or I must really be a woman, because I have all the traits that are ascribed by Namtok thoughts, stories to women. So I guess I'm woman, so I need to switch and become woman, or I need to switch and become man. So I've seriously thought of it when I was younger. You know what changed my mind on it then? I didn't want to be a short, fat, bald guy. Ego. I figured I could get away as a short, fat, bald girl easier. The thing I'm pointing at is it is the stories, the belief systems that your culture imposes on gender that makes you think you need to be one or the other, or both or neither, when actually those aren't real. Somebody made them up. Women should be soft and pliant. Men should be strong and leaders. And not so much. We are whoever we are with whatever personality we have developed as a combination of genetics and experience. So as that, you should eventually, when you've relaxed your personal belief systems enough, be able to identify with a yidam of either gender without any great difficulty. Because men can be soft and pliant, and women can be firm and strong and leaders. Haven't you noticed? There's even drugs now so guys can nurse if they want to. The key to yidam is not desiring your yidam, but being your yidam. Now, if that question was asked because your yidam is Heruka, and Heruka is in Yab Yum with Dorji Palmo, Vajrayogini, then see if you can make her as midline. But what you want to do, what the symbolism here is bringing together yin and yang. Using male and female as the symbol of yin and yang. Not in an absolute sense, and it's not about gender. And yet the desire is part of Tumo. I'm seriously thinking about this in the case of your yidam is Heruka, not Vajrayogini, and you want to do a Yab Yum practice in union with Vajrayogini. Can you see a male form as the symbol of vast, open, sky-like awareness? The yin and the yang which come together in Tantra, the Heruka and the Herukai, are symbols of form and emptiness. And since form is emptiness and emptiness is not other of form, when they come together in union, symbolized by the male and female in union. I've got a tonka of something like that around here somewhere. Symbolized by the Yab Yum, the male and female in union. It is not about gender. Truly. It is about becoming the union of form and emptiness. Next question.
Okay, one moment, I had it. Can you please explain to us the Buddhist concepts about the soul, or rather the non-soul, or identity of the self in different incarnations?
I already did. I answered that. Not in those, not that asked in those words, but I explained about how we arise in perceptions. No, let me find those words I used last time. How we are constantly being changed by our experiences, so that our personality is made up of our experiences, and how we make up our experiences by taking sensations and telling ourselves a story about them and then having feelings about the story. So, like a mirror reflecting a mirror, continuously, what you have is a continuously changing clump of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions creating themselves. There's nobody in there. And it's completely interactive, interwoven with all the other clumps it interacts with. That is called the mind stream. Like a current in the ocean, it seems to flow and have entity direction, and yet it combines with the water of the rest of the ocean. Other currents join it and leave it. So think of the currents of the ocean as sentient beings coming together and separating and influencing each other. And yet never the same for a moment. There is no self or soul as a singular, ongoing entity in Buddhist thought. You know how the big clump of seaweed, the sargasso, rides the ocean currents and circles the ocean? So karma rides the currents and shapes the currents. The currents create the karma, they feed the sargassum seaweed, which floats riding the currents, changing the currents, being changed by and created by and destroyed by the currents. Interactive, interpenetrating, like that, not separate or singular. Next question, and I'm starting to tire a bit, so give me one or two last ones.
Okay, one question is about daily affirmations and whether or not they are beneficial practice.
Taking refuge and bodhicitta is a very beneficial practice. Affirming stuff about your clump simply adds to ego and selfishness, and I would not consider useful. Monlam, however, which is a kind of wishing, wish path is a Tibetan affirmation. If done in the proper way, in the light of bodhicitta and refuge, is useful. Monlam, I will become enlightened for the sake of all sentient beings. That's a Monlam affirmation. Every day in every way I am getting better and better is a dumb aspiration. It won't work. It's I. You're closing it in, you're tightening it. Open it. Interpenetrating, interconnected. I'll take another.
I'm planning to visit India, including Sopema, later this year. Any advice on what to do or who to see in Sopema?
Do circumnavigate the lake. Do visit the big statue. Do not have a picnic by the lake. Monkeys. You can have a picnic up at the yogis' caves. If you choose, there's plenty of areas there, and there's not an overage of monkeys. You might expect it would be a kindness to share a bit with anyone who wanders by. Often there are shepherds or cowherds or yogis. Do stop in at the library. There's one of those secret hidden lamas. I hope he's not watching. I'm going to out him here. Do check out Tenzin at the library. His English is excellent. Do visit the assorted monasteries. There's a lovely way to circumambulate the Nyingma monastery. And you can sit on their terrace and enjoy the sound of their ceremonies. Zigor Monastery is the most old-fashioned, perhaps less so. Drigan Monastery might let you come to their ceremonies and has cappuccino in the cafe. For good, clean food that you can eat even if you are on a delicate tummy, check out Cora Cafe. They're very clean. That was started by a local and a Westerner together, and they keep Western-style cleanliness. I have taught them to make Western food, but I don't know if there's any on the menu at the moment. I've tried to get them to do mac and cheese for us. Okay, one more.
Okay, there's actually several questions on the same topic on how medications like antidepressants or antipsychotics might affect one's practice, and should they avoid them if they're going to practice?
Absolutely not. I know a number of great teachers who take such things. I'm not, as a physician, I know them. And I am not at liberty to tell you who. Antidepressants in general will not. Some tranquilizers will, so if you're treating an anxiety disorder, stay away from all the Zepams like diazepam. That particular class of drugs tends to be problematic for practice at times. I'm not as familiar with lithium and some of the MAOs, but if your dosage is proper to you, they shouldn't be a problem. If they do disturb or interrupt your practice in some way, work with your prescribing psychiatrist to adjust your dose. They are a lot less interfering with your meditation than a serious chemical imbalance in the brain and heart. Take your meds. Because without them, you probably cannot practice at all. At least not properly. I'll take one more. These have been easy ones.
Okay. Can you help me with lack of motivation? I have been busy with family and school. My main practice is Treksha and dream yoga.
Lack of motivation? Four turning minds, go back to him. Contemplate impermanence and death. The sufferings of samsara. How karma works. Precious human rebirth. If you go to my website, I have some teachings online about them, done by Palga Rinpoche, a dear friend from Ladakh. However, many teachers have teachings online on the subject, should you wish to refresh your memory. That really is the best way to deal with lack of motivation. Notice that you're gonna die and you don't know when. Notice how funky karma is. Notice how much bad karma hurts. Notice how hard it is to get a precious human rebirth. Look around you at all the people in human form who do not have precious human rebirth because they lack leisure, they lack intent, they lack health. If you truly understand the four turning minds, Lodro Namji, there's no question of lack of motivation. If you truly understand those and you're still not motivated, check yourself for depression. Take the meds and then practice. One more.
How should we react when someone is harmful to us and it causes many negative and hateful thoughts towards them? How can we work with them?
If you are well trained in Treksha and Dzogchen, you can look right through those hateful and negative thoughts and see that they are no thing in nowhere, and therefore they won't bother you or the subject of them. If you are well trained in Tantra, you can transform these hateful and negative thoughts into the mirror-like wisdom of equanimity. If you are well trained in Sutrayana, you can antidote this with patience and return kindness for harm. These are the three methods: Dzogchen, Dzogchen, Tantra, and Sutra. The anger is not coming from them. Their actions to you appear harmful. Therefore, you experience the emotion of anger about the story you are telling yourself. Therefore, you add story upon story to justify your anger. Fear is underneath it. Anger and fear are the same thing. Relax. Don't constrict around it. Look through the story. See it for what it really is, no thing in nowhere. Mind seeing mind. And yet your heart, a feeling remains. Leave it there. Don't bother it. accept that sensation. Don't name it fear or anger. It's just a physical sensation of the yi. Leave it be as it is. Don't mind feeling the sensation. Release it from the girdle of your support with thought and suppression. Do nothing at all to it. Leave it be as it is. And it will take the shape of its own nature. The clarity of mirror-like wisdom. If that's too hard, then let's try Tantra. Arise yourself as your yidam. All phenomena you see with your eyes is the mandala of your yidam, including that person. All sound you hear with your ears is the sound of the mantra echoing, including the words of that person. All taste and touch and smell perceived is simply the dance of the phenomena of your mandala. Rest in this, allowing the stories to be within the mandala and dissipate as solidity made of light dancing the different directions and the dakinis of the directions. See it as your reality. And let your hate arise as Vajrasattva, clarity of the East. Samantabhadra. White in color, transparent and clear. But if that's too difficult for you, when anger arises, practice patience. This poor person who is doing harm, look at the terrible karma they're creating for themselves. Oh dear, you're going to find them next life as a pariah puppy starving with mange on a dung heap. The poor puppy. They don't remember. Oh. Consider. And return kindness for cruelty. Love who they could be if they weren't stuck in being who they were. Be patient with who they're stuck as being. It may take time for them to get over it. So I've talked you through working with anger in 3 methods. Pick the one that works for you. And now I will close. We've gone on for well over a couple hours. Ge wandi nyor duda chi chi sala go pashu. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. We are complete.